Marriage, Wilde Style by Anne Blythe Davis. When I married Lord Bracknell, I had no fortune of any kind, but I never dreamed for a moment of allowing that to stand in my way. In Oscar Wilde's The Importance of Being Earnest, Lady Bracknell's expression epitomizes the Victorian motivation to marry, to build prominence and wealth. Wilde uses satire, inversion, and repeated mockery to develop the idea that marriage is used to bolster prosperity and social status, instead of representing the essence of loyalty and true love. The theme that people are motivated to marry because of money, prestige, and social cover, rather than have a faithful, forthright, and deep relationship, is developed through Lady Bracknell's obsession with social position and money, Algernon's repeated derision, Jack's recurrent dishonesty, and Gwendolen and Cecily's fixation with an earnest notion. Lady Bracknell sees marriage as a tool that builds financial and social distinction, not as a commitment that blossoms from true love. Wilde uses Lady Bracknell to ridicule the Victorian criterion that spouse choice should be based on social rank rather than genuine emotional connection. When she discovers Jack and Gwendolen's engagement, she insists on some preliminary inquiry. She grills Jack about his financial status, whether that is in land or in investments, how many houses he has, where they are, and his parentage. Yet in all this, Lady Bracknell does not ask a single question about love. Perhaps this is because her marriage to Lord Bracknell seems to be lacking sincere devotion. In Act 2, when she interrupts the embrace of the newly reconciled couples, she discloses how she managed to keep Gwendolen's absence a secret from Lord Bracknell. Lord Bracknell is, she is glad to say, under the impression that Gwendolen is attending a more than usually lengthy lecture. Lady Bracknell does not propose to undeceive him. In fact, she has never undeceived him on any question. Wilde uses Lady Bracknell to deride Victorians' comfort with a certain level of dishonesty in their marriages. When Jack mentions offhandedly to Lady Bracknell that Cecily has, about £130,000 in the funds, Lady Bracknell immediately sees Cecily as a most attractive young lady. To her, the suitability of a potential spouse is based on their financial status, not true love. Once Lady Bracknell has settled the matter of Algernon and Cecily's marriage, she notes that she is not in favor of long engagements. They give people the opportunity of finding out each other's characters before marriage. This statement confirms that Lady Bracknell doesn't place importance on openness in engagement and marriage. Her ideals for marriage augment the unifying concept that wedlock is all about superficial affluence and prestige, rather than the culmination of affectionate and genuine relationship. In The Importance of Being Earnest, Algernon, as Wilde's mouthpiece, voices Wilde's satirical ideas about the Victorian corruption of marriage. In Act 1, when Jack puts forth his idea of proposing to Gwendolen, Algernon scoffs at it. He doesn't see anything romantic in proposing. Divorces are made in heaven, he announces. This epigrammatic inversion of the idiom, marriages are made in heaven, shows that Algernon sees marriage as a burden to be undone, not as a loving commitment between two people. Algernon rationalizes his bum-burying because he believes that fidelity can, even should be disregarded. He states that in married life, 3 is company and 2 is none. This biting witticism denigrates marriage. It shows that Victorian extramarital affairs are acceptable, even expected. When Gwendolen and Cecily learn of Jack and Algernon's deceitful actions and retreat to the house, Jack asks Algernon if this ghastly state of things is what he calls bum-burying. Algernon replies that it is a perfectly wonderful Bunbury, the most wonderful Bunbury he has had in his life. Algernon accents that his focus is on the pleasure he derives from an instant romance rather than the serious predicament of a broken engagement. Algernon's repeated debasement of wedlock develops the idea that infidelity is a survival strategy for Victorian marriages. Jack's twisted ideas of marriage, shown through his dishonest streak, allow Wilde to lampoon Victorian marriages that disregarded honesty and disclosure. After Lady Bracknell has performed the pre-matrimonial interrogation, Algernon asks Jack if he admitted to Gwendolen the truth about his being Ernest in the town and Jack in the country, and if he told Gwendolen yet that he has an excessively pretty ward who is only just 18. Jack replies that the truth isn't quite the sort of thing one tells to a nice, sweet, refined girl, and that one doesn't just blurt these things out to people. Jack's intention is to keep his dual identity a secret so that he is willing to sacrifice his integrity to win the woman he loves. Although Jack's repeated omissions of deception are worded in a gentlemanly, upper-class fashion, they reveal that, to him, marriage need not be based on truthfulness and candor. Cecily and Gwendolen are both driven to wed and aim. Their fixation with Ernest allows Wilde to satirize Victorians' preoccupation with appearance rather than reality. Cecily and Gwendolen base their specifications for the perfect spouse on deep and intense feelings for a notion. While Jack has his chance to propose to Gwendolen, she informs him that her ideal has always been to love someone of the name of Ernest. Her criterion for the perfect spouse is based on a name, not a personality. When Algernon proposes to Cecily, she replies that they have been engaged for the last 3 months. Her proof is the diary she used to create a fictional roller coaster romance between herself and Ernest. This shows Cecily's bizarre naivete about basing marriages on a fantasy rather than a real-life bond. Cecily also bought this little ring in Ernest's name and a little bangle with the true lover's knot she promised Ernest always to wear. She thinks that true love can be demonstrated through jewelry. Here, Wilde mocks the Victorians by suggesting that they were more focused on material trinkets than mature relationships. Like Gwendolen, Cecily pities any poor married woman whose husband is not called Ernest. This shows that Cecily forms her opinions of marriage on names alone. Even the fantasy marriage she has in her diary is based on the perception of someone named Ernest. Cecily and Gwendolen share a fixation of the notion Ernest, developing Wilde's claim that to Victorians, marriage was the triumph of imagination over intelligence. In Wilde's The Importance of Being Earnest, the premise that Victorians marry for money and status, not for true and committed love, is expressed through Algernon's repeated sarcasm, Jack's deceitful streak, Lady Bracknell's passion for wealth and social standing, and Cecily and Gwendolen's infatuation with fantasy. Wilde develops this motif through recurrent derisions and ridicule of engagement and marriage. The characters' actions and words, Wilde suggests that, to Victorians, marriage is a social construct that could be treated with grand disrespect. Perhaps this play is Wilde's attempt to rationalize his own disregard for the institution. After all, he was the original Bunburyist.